Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers remain undefeated in the postseason after a tense win Monday night in Philadelphia. The Dodgers held on for a 4-3 victory. They're up 2-0 in the best-of-5 divisional playoffs. They can close out the Phillies with a win in Game 3 Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said there are no plans to move the NBA All-Star Game if the Clippers are punished by the league for alleged salary cap violations. The NBA is investigating the Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer. The Clippers are the host franchise for the All-Star Game, scheduled for February 15th at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. After Week 5 of the NFL regular season, New York Jets coach Aaron Glenn remains the only coach in the league without a win. The Jets are 0-5. Glenn, in his first season with the Jets, is one of 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
So you wanna jump out your trick bag and ease on into hip bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip. You started to let your hair go, spend big bucks atop your wardrobe, but somehow you know there's much more to the trip. What is hip? Tell me if you think you know. What is hip? If you really hip, the past and the years will show you in a hip trip. Maybe hipper than hip. What is hip?
Tower Power. I'm Tavis Smiley. I'm glad to have you on with us today, checking us out today, I should say. In this hour, a conversation as promised about the relationship between Christianity and fascism. That's a good way to put it. I mentioned at the top of the show today that the No Kings people have announced that Saturday, October 18th, is the next day of these nationwide protests, these nationwide actions, which I think makes today a good day for a conversation with the noted theologian, Dr. Reggie L. Williams, who is in studio in this hour for the hour to talk about, as I mentioned a moment ago, the historic and current relationship between Christianity and fascism. Again, also in the aftermath of the death of Charlie Kirk, the murder of Charlie Kirk, this conversation could not be more timely. So I'm pleased to welcome him in studio. Before I get to Reggie L. Williams, let me first give you some sound from Paula White. I think you all know Paula White. Certainly if you are in religious circles, you know who Paula White is. She's the head of the White House Faith Office, chosen by Donald Trump. And I don't need to explain this much more, but just listen to Paula White.
He is our greatest champion of faith of any president that the United States of America has ever had. We are deeply grateful for that. We are very honored that you are all here with us at the White House, and where faith is not sidelined, but has a seat at the table. And as we gather today as leaders of industry, of vision, of faith, I believe that today is going to be very enlightened. And I'm so overwhelmed. We're getting ready to worship and pray, and to just think that prayer, worship, and doing good works is welcome back into the White House.
Every time I hear Paula White say something outrageous like that, I think of all the Black folk I have known who are fans of Paula White. I think of all the Black preachers and pastors that I have known and know who have welcomed Paula White into their pulpits. I think, let me stop. This ain't even my hour. This is Reggie Williams' hour. So, Reggie, first of all, welcome in the studio. Good to see you. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, brother. It's really nice to be here with you.
It's good to have you in studio. Thanks for coming in town to do this. Number one. Number two, when you hear Paula White say what she has said in that clip, and I could play a lot more clips of her saying things that are even more interesting than that, and interesting is the best word I can come up with in this moment. Mm-hmm. But when you hear her, just say what you hear.
Well, it's awful to begin with. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, it is no surprise that someone like that would say things like that. It's no surprise to me. I hear Frederick Douglass saying that the worst slave owners were the Christian ones. We hear resonances, or actually the still living Confederate faith. Frederick Douglass, by the way, a good Christian man himself, like Harriet Tubman, a whole nother tradition of the faith, other than what those guys, that represents there. Which Jesus is welcome back in the White House? What Christianity is welcome into the White House?
Yeah. When you say the Confederate faith, unpack that phrase for me.
Well, as you know, that the Civil War was two sides of Christianity here in the United States. There were Christians going at each other to some degree. One said that in the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us live to make ones free. Let us live to make them free. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. This is what King is quoting. And then there's another faith that says that God has created order, this notion of orders of creation, with white landowning men as the top of the apex, represented by Jesus himself. So it would be a sin to emancipate Black people, because that goes against the structured created order. They are also represented in other awful places in the world. George Frederickson, in his book, Racism: A Short History, gives us 3 overtly racist regimes in the 20th century. All of them have a Christian source funding them. I mean, Hitler's wasn't himself Christian, but he certainly knew how to use it to galvanize a German public around a charismatic, Christ-like figure himself. So in the South, Confederate Christianity is that authoritarian Christianity that's organized by a notion of race.
He said 2 or 3 things already that are worth interrogating for the rest of the hour.
Sure.
All I need sometimes is 5 minutes to know where I'm going the rest of the show. I tell my team all the time, if you think you're leading the conversation as the interlocutor, you're doing it the wrong way. It's about charitable and generous listening. If you listen to the guest, they will tell you where to go. And now I know where to go for the rest of this hour. I'm going to start with this notion that you put in a historic context rather, that it was a sin to emancipate Black people.
Yeah.
You put it in a historic context, but you see where I'm going with that.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
not just historical, it's
Sure.
contemporary. That it is still, I think, in the minds of some of these white Christians, a sin to emancipate Black people. That's where we're going to start when we come forward with the Reverend Dr. Reggie L. Williams, theologian, St. Louis University. Glad to have him in studio right now on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. This is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. We've all had that epic rideshare experience. Halfway through the trip, you know their heartbreak, their career path, and they know your aspirations to go find yourself in Portugal. It's human. We're all looking for connection, for someone to listen. But sometimes the people we spill our hearts to aren't exactly equipped to help us through it. With over a decade of data-backed experience from helping millions of people, BetterHelp matches you with a therapist based on your needs and goals. No asking for recommendations or endless scrolling through listings. Simply answer a few questions online and you'll be matched with a therapist, often in as little as 48 hours. Join over 5 million people worldwide who've trusted BetterHelp for their mental health and well-being. Get a therapist who gets you. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Reggie L. Williams, Associate Professor of Black Theology at St. Louis University. Honored to have him in studio. I mentioned the October 18th is the next day of the national protest for No Kings. And I love the fact that I can look out and see a variety of people of all colors, stripes, political persuasions, race, colors, and creeds, faith, traditions in these streets, protesting one Donald Trump, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the case that not all of us agree on Donald Trump. And you heard Paula White in that clip earlier suggest that he is the greatest president we've ever had when it comes to advancing the notion of faith in this country. That's a joke to me. Paula White has become a joke to me. And if you talk to her, you can tell I said so in Jesus' name. She's become a joke. And again, I just, my skin crawls. I mean, even at my, at my home church here in LA, Paula White has appeared. This is years ago, right? Years ago, before she completely lost her mind. But I think, again, of all these
Black noted preachers who she has preached alongside with in a variety of services, and now she's advancing this kind of theology, this kind of Christology, is beyond troubling for me. But you said a few things already that I want to get to quickly here in this hour. That line jumped out at me when you said that there were Christians fighting on both sides of the Civil War.
Right.
And they both love Jesus, or at least they profess to love Jesus, but they're fighting a war because they view this issue of slavery and the Civil War obviously differently. But that line jumped out at me, Reggie, when you said that for some in this war, obviously, it's pretty clear it was a sin to emancipate Black people. Now, it's one thing to see it as an economic issue, that we need these Negroes to pick this cotton. We need them to drive the engine that is America right about now. But you went a whole nother step. You went a step further when you laid out that it was for them, these Christians, putting that in air quotes, a sin to emancipate Black people. Tell me more. And you tell me more about the historic context, and we're going to bring it forward.
Well, sure. I mean, an easy place to start is the fact that Eugene Genovese tells us that when slavery began here in the United States, it was a dubious practice that needed to be defended. It became, with Christian support, God's orders of creation. That notion of slavery as an ordained, theologically, divinely sanctioned franchise was on the other side of the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement. The author of a book that I'm now reading, called The Bible Told Him So, makes mention of the fact that on the other side of the Civil Rights Movement, you had a whole bunch of Christians. People talk about the Black church in the Civil Rights Movement. It was a Black church-led movement, in fact, which some people debate. But the involvement of the Black churches is what people typically point to. There were a whole lot of other churches in the Civil Rights Movement, white churches on the other side of that thing that recalibrated in its aftermath to give us the moment that we have right now. Anytime you've had Black progress given, I mean, in the history of the country, from emancipation to voting rights and so forth, and then to the Black president, you have this huge retrenchment that is also theological. It is that it is a segment of Christianity that believes that Jesus is white, and thus the right order of creation for all of humanity to have white leadership. So, I mean, this is where I would go to. I mean, we can spend some more time in which direction that should go. But
yeah, what's your read then of the way? And I've written a book about King, as his audience knows, about Dr. King, that is, MLK. What's your read then of the way that King processed where he found himself with other white churches aligning themselves with him in the movement, but being up against these other Christians who didn't quite see it the way that he saw it?
Yeah. So if I understand your question right, him being helped out by white Christians, white Christianity. Well, the abolitionist cause was mixed race in its origins as well. A whole lot of white people who opposed slavery. But it's important to recognize, and I'll just a little more about this before circling back to your question.
Sure.
The practice of slavery required a way of knowing the world that made that thing work. So how does that work? You have, what Gunnar Myrdal talked about in his book, American Dilemma. You have this crises of principles and practice. So they signed this document that says we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. It didn't mean men at that time too. All men are created equal. And endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, they were slave owners when they signed that. How does that work? This is the dilemma. He said, well, that dilemma actually forces the logic of race and hierarchy and so forth. In order to hold on to that very lucrative franchise, they had to make sense of the fact that they were also slave owners. So these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal actually is a reference to all humans. And the Black is the animal in human form. The Black is something that is less than a human. it doesn't fit within the categories that we describe as human being completely, like whites do. So this is the ideology that gives us what we are dealing with today. Begins as this justification of slave owning, and continues in its present form as an ideology of order in society. Another simple way to put it is the war ended the ability to legally own people, but it didn't end the way of thinking in the world that made that a right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. I raised the issue of King because I'm just trying to find it quickly here so I can just read a particular section of it if I can find it.
I wanted to come back to that. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I raised King because you mentioned the civil rights movement.
Sure.
And you'll recall that King famously gave the eulogy for James Reeb, the Unitarian white minister, of course, murdered after coming down south to work alongside Dr. King.
Sure.
James Reeb gets murdered. King delivers the eulogy for James Reeb. And in that eulogy is a powerful frame. I just talked about not long ago with our friend William Barber, Reverend Barber.
Yeah.
And in that eulogy, King says that it's a powerful question to ask who killed James Reeb. And we can't assemble today without asking that question, who killed James Reeb? But the other question, the haunting question is what killed James Reeb? Exactly.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, so King goes into this. He lays this thing out. And part of his what indictment is of these Christian ministers who were opposed to him and advancing this notion, as you would put it, that it was a sin to emancipate Black people. So even King had to navigate this period of advancing civil rights over and against a bunch of white Christians who didn't quite see it the way he saw it. As a matter of fact, I tell this story in my book, Death of a King. Doc is traveling one day and at an airport runs into Billy Graham. And at that time, Billy Graham was the Billy Graham with all of these, these revivals and gatherings all across the country. He's advising presidents. I mean, he is at the height of his Billy Graham-ness. And he runs into Dr. King at an airport, and he basically says to Dr. King in a private conversation, which Martin recounted later, you got to slow down, Martin.
Yeah.
You got to slow down.
Yeah.
This is Billy Graham. Again, a white evangelical, a white Christian telling Martin, y'all need to slow this thing down. You're pushing too hard. You're pushing too fast. Now, Billy Graham didn't say, I believe it's a sin to emancipate Black people, but that's what Martin was up against. Your turn.
Yeah. And Graham told him that.
Yeah.
Reinhold Niebuhr, America's theologian, told him that. The 8 white clergy that he's responding to from Birmingham jail told him that. It's pushing things too fast. White folks aren't ready for all of this emancipation of Black people and freedom and so forth. They're not ready for civil rights, inclusion, and so forth. When would they be ready? This is what King was talking about. When will they be ready? The struggle against these ways of seeing the world, keep that as a normal way of understanding the world inevitably. I mean, not inevitably, but in perpetuity. There's no way to slowly give full humanity to people or freedom to people. And the people who would say those sorts of things to King, King finds them as problematic as anybody else.
Yeah. See, this is why I wanted to seize on this sentiment, this notion you raised that it was a sin.
Coming back to that. Yeah. Yeah. Why are they saying slow down? The need to offer to them something else in Christianity to help them displace the Christianity that's holding them in this notion of Black inhumanity. I mean, to say it was another way of saying that. The way that they understand the Bible speaks to a world in which white is all right. Thurman makes the same claim at the beginning of his famous book, Jesus and the Disinherited.
Howard Thurman.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, that is it the problem of Christianity, or is it the problem of interpretation of Christianity that keeps white folks, or keeps it from being able to answer these social evils like white supremacy and so on, like this stuff that King is facing? And King is offering another engagement with Christ, a whole other, the Black social gospel, talking about with Christianity. But Thurman is asking this question as he proceeds to offer to society another way of interpreting Jesus. And I mean, foundationally, this is what King is doing.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I am rereading this right now. I've read it more times than I can count, but I'm rereading it right now. Going to finish it up on a plane ride tomorrow. And if you have never read Howard Thurman's book, Jesus and the Disinherited, I highly recommend it. And now, given what the world is going through, would be a really good time to read that text. Once again, it's by Howard Thurman, great Black theologian. It's called Jesus and the Disinherited. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. I'm reading it again. Going to finish it up tomorrow on a plane ride. But again, the timing couldn't be more propitious for you to pick that book up. So write it down, Jesus and the Disinherited. I just love the title, Jesus and the Disinherited, by Howard Thurman. So back to this phrase one more time, that it was a sin for some of these Christians then, a sin for them to emancipate Black people. Nobody has the nerve. I'll say the nerve to say that right now publicly. Then again, maybe they will. But when you show up the way that Donald Trump is showing up, and when you have Paula White and Franklin Graham and other white ministers standing next to you, and you advance policies that are antithetical to the best interest of Black people, that is, you see where I'm going here? That is, to my mind, another way of advancing the notion, if you don't say it publicly, that we still see it as a sin to emancipate these Black people.
This is it.
Is there something there?
There's definitely something there.
Work with it.
Yeah, well, we have a notion of order. What is a rightly ordered society? It has racial connotations. For many of them, it's broadly actually connected with sexual. The racial and the sexual, the economic, these are tethered to the way that the country, as it were, was ideologically sorted out in its origins. If you undo that order, you disrupt not only the way that normal is understood, but sacred. This is a sacred foundation. The way in which order is described and lived has a Christian foundation baked into it. This is what, in his book, groundbreaking book, I keep naming these books. Forgive me, but I'm a scholar.
No, you're a scholar. That's okay.
Yeah,
we got. Trust me, there are folks listening right now. Write them down, so you're okay.
Cedric Robinson's first book, Terms of Order, describes foundationally this charismatic leader who is the notion of the charisma, which is a Christ figure. He's talking about how obedience is founded, how people structure their lives around the leader, what makes them obey the leader. Well, it's not just laws and rules, it is the charismatic figure who has this, who's endowed with this system of charisma. He's more from Max Weber, endowed with this sort of charisma that is seen as supernatural.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
A charisma that is seen as supernatural. Y'all hold on to that phrase. A charisma that is seen as supernatural. We're going to pick this conversation up right there when we come forward. As I said to Reggie Williams a moment ago, you never got to apologize. You're talking to a really, really bright audience.
Okay, good.
And so you ain't got to apologize for being bright, and you ain't got to apologize for dropping books. We can handle it. But we'll talk about that notion when we come forward here on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Attorney General Pam Bondi told senators her department made major strides in 8 months, citing crime drops in D.C. and Memphis.
We created strong partnerships working hand in hand with both cities to send resources where they were needed most.
She's now facing tough questions on topics like the indictment of ex-FBI Director James Comey. A Black woman turned a used school bus into her full-time home after spending $35,000 on renovations. 26-year-old Los Angeles native Danielle Dandelion now travels the country, taking odd jobs and embracing life on the road, proving dreams are worth chasing. And a funeral was held in California for Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teen found dead in a car registered to singer David. Her cause of death is still pending. Police launched a death investigation, but David has not been named as a suspect. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career forward. Earn your undergraduate or graduate degree and become unstoppable. Find out how at msmu.edu.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers remain undefeated in the postseason after a tense win Monday night in Philadelphia. The Dodgers held on for a 4-3 victory. They're up 2-0 in the best-of-5 divisional playoffs. They can close out the Phillies with a win in Game 3 Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said there are no plans to move the NBA All-Star Game if the Clippers are punished by the league for alleged salary cap violations. The NBA is investigating the Clippers and team owner Steve Ballmer. The Clippers are the host franchise for the All-Star Game, scheduled for February 15th at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. After Week 5 of the NFL regular season, New York Jets coach Aaron Glenn remains the only coach in the league without a win. The Jets are 0-5. Glenn, in his first season with the Jets, is one of 5 African-American head coaches in the NFL. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Eco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you missed the first half hour of this conversation, you missed a good one. The podcast, post later tonight, every day, every hour, every conversation of my program, whether it's a half-hour conversation or an hour, every conversation is posted later that evening as a podcast. So if you missed any part of this conversation with Reggie L. Williams, Associate Professor of Black Theology at St. Louis University, then you will want to track the podcast down later today and get caught up on the first half as we move our way into now the second half of this conversation. We are talking in this hour about the historic and the present day, the current relationship between Christianity and fascism. And what does that look like historically? What's it look like in real time? That relationship between Christianity and fascism. If you tuned in late, he established earlier in this conversation that for many Christians back in the day, up through and including the era of civil rights and MLK, it was for many Christians a sin to emancipate Black people. And now we find ourselves in the era of, and let me just back up. I said after he laid out the historic underpinnings of that notion that it was a sin to emancipate Black people, it is still for many Christians and others a sin to emancipate Black people. They won't say it that way publicly. They've taken off the white sheets and put on black robes. I think you feel me on this, right? It's still a sin, though. They won't say it that way, but in the public policies that they are advancing, they don't want to see the emancipation, the freedom, the liberation of certain classes of people. That is true for Black people. It's also true for poverty. The greatest violence in this country right now is being perpetrated against the poor. Don't get me started on that. So it's still a sin to emancipate Black people. They're just approaching it in a different way. I started this hour with Reggie L. Williams playing a clip from Paula White. It's a short clip. If you missed it, I'm going to play it one more again because I want to make a point. Give it to me, Miles.
He is our greatest champion of faith of any president that the United States of America has ever had. We are deeply grateful for that. We are very honored that you are all here with us at the White House, and where faith is not sidelined, but has a seat at the table. And as we gather today as leaders of industry, of vision, of faith, I believe that today is going to be very enlightened. And I'm so overwhelmed. We're getting ready to worship and pray and to just think that prayer, worship, and doing good works is welcome back into the White House.
Yeah, there are a bunch of these white Christian preachers who I've known, literally personally known for years. I'm done with. I'm done with Rod Parsley. I'm done with Paula White. I'm done with a long list of them. Don't get me started. But Reggie Williams was making a powerful point a moment ago about charisma, the danger of seeing charisma as a supernatural power, the danger of seeing charisma as supernatural. When he raised that, my mind immediately went, of course, to Donald Trump. And there are too many white Christians like Paula White who see his charisma as something sort of supernatural, that he's God's man of action in this particular moment. And that charisma as supernatural becomes something very real for them when they saw him survive those assassination attempts. I could go on, but it's your phrase, charisma as supernatural. Take it and run with it.
Yeah. Well, I was referring to Cedric Robinson in his book, Terms of Order, and he's borrowing from another scholar, Max Weber. And one simple way to describe this is that how's mass obedience obtained? It's not simply by the passing of laws or the structure of rules, because we see that oftentimes when a person gets into leadership roles, especially in this political moment, rules don't matter. Laws don't matter. Constitution doesn't matter. What is it that's got such obedience? It's the notion of charisma, the charismatic leader who shows up at a moment, tells them that the pain that they're suffering, the struggle that they're going through, can all be addressed in the moment by this notion of charisma that he espouses, this view as supernatural. And what does the charisma do to? In some respects, it's building on what scholars describe as foundational assumptions. It is background ideological scaffolding, so to speak. It's the way that one understands the world without knowing that they understand the world in that way. So he uses the term myth, and myth is not in reference to, the understanding of a pre-scientific community, like primitive peoples or something like that. But myth is the way that the ideological, the ideas that we already know that frame what we think we know. Myth is the way we understand the world without thinking about it. Okay. So this charismatic figure playing on these ideas that are foundational to the country from its start, to tell them that this is what they need and what they want, and that he alone can restore it after it's had these tremendous assaults to it. The charismatic figure comes along oftentimes in moments of crises. And we've had lots of people in this country since the election of the 44th president believing that this whole country is in crisis. We had this notion of the 2040 window when the whites would be in the minority. Whites will be in the minority and the country is elected a black president, and what will happen to its origins, its European foundations. What is happening to the country that they love? The charismatic figure comes along and plays on the way that they know the world should be. And not only that he knows how it should be, he alone can fix it. He embodies the remedy. He embodies in his representation, in his speech, he embodies the country in himself. So, but devotion to this figure is devotion to the country itself. Another easy way to describe this, and I've stopped using this metaphor because as I'm teaching undergrads, they don't know what I'm talking about. But I would say, I would use the term longing for Mayberry. And this is a Christian practice. Okay. The other day I tried.
In fairness to them, they weren't around then.
They were not around then. Not at all. I grew up with this. It was all when I was growing up. But
I got it. But there are reruns on every day.
Every day.
I saw it last night. Go ahead.
Yeah. Little House on the Prairie too.
Yeah.
But that's all propaganda. Mayberry is probably Andy Griffith's show. Little House on the Prairie is propaganda. Why? It represents the America people know that they should want. It is this landing place for all of your hopes and dreams of the beautiful community that is America. I'm saying America intentionally. I usually say the United States, but in this mythos, we're talking about America. Okay, the ideal place, and it is not only the political promised land, it is the Christian good. It sits as propaganda, framing the political, the social, the economic endeavors of an entire community that this person now embodies and tells them, I can give it to you again. I can give that back. It's under assault. Mayberry is under assault and I can give it back to you. We storm these cities with National Guards.
Yes, come on now.
And in order, because we fighting for the moral good that you have in your mind that you know you want.
That's it.
Yeah. There is no way then when you're longing for Mayberry, when you got an ideal set in your mind that never existed, it's just propaganda. No way to meet actual people. They're the people that you come in contact with. They either serve the myth or they don't serve the myth. They are figments in your imagination. They don't actually have an encounter with Black people. They have an encounter with Negroes, figures from their mind, that serve the establishment of Mayberry as the place that you should want.
I say all the time on this program, I'm fascinated with the way the dots connect. In our first hour, we talked about some new data, some new research out now from a noted Black researcher about the way Black people are processing these National Guards being deployed in cities across the country. It's on and popping right now in Chicago, as you well know. And so here you come now, bringing us to that point. Not having heard the first hour because you're on the way in here. But I love the way the dots connect. And so when I said earlier, when you said earlier, rather, that it's a sin to emancipate Black people, that was the view historically. And I brought it to a contemporary point. This is what's happening, as you just laid out eloquently and brilliantly, when it comes to these national troops, these National Guards troops being deployed in these cities. It's about what you just laid out, giving them that imaginary America that they long for, right? And that Trump is saying, I'm the one that can give it to you. And we're going to give it to you by taking these troops. Anyway, I can't say it any better than what you just said it, so let me shut up and leave it there. I got a number of questions I see coming in from listeners all across the country that I want to put forth to Reggie L. Williams when we come forward here on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-373-7519. That's 800-373-7519.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay! We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code COOL to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code COOL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Professor of Theology at St. Louis University, Reggie L. Williams. Tavis, curious as to whether Mr. Williams sees a distinction between Christian white supremacists and Christians who support fascism. Can they be one and not the other? Or do fascism and white supremacy always go hand in hand?
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. It's important to recognize that white supremacy is not about emotions. Mm-hmm. It's not simply an affect or feelings of hatred or anything like that. Mm-hmm. White supremacy is, in fact, the way people understand the world since the practice of chattel slavery and the invention of race as an ideology and the invention of race itself White, I should say race. One way to think about race, and I'm not saying that we ignore race. I'm not saying that at all. But one way to think about race is the invention of the concept of white itself. It's a way of organizing the world to understand human difference with white as normal. How did we get there? The Ashanti didn't know that they were black until they met Europeans. People here in the Americas, not really Americas, in the land that we live now, weren't red. There are a number of different racial tribes. I'm sorry, different tribes. And the same goes for all around the world. But when they meet with Europeans, they're getting grafted into this notion of human difference as race. And that argument, that encounter with the European who's inventing this ideology is in fact getting to know themselves over and against the African, the native here on this soil or in East Asia and so forth. And then you get this notion of human difference as race, and race itself is actually an argument for ideology, for a hierarchy, which in fact is white supremacy. But that's not to say that we do not talk about race. We must recognize race today, if only to always work against that notion of hierarchy.
I got 1 or 2 more questions for Reggie
Sure.
Williams, and we'll talk about his book. I want you to be aware of his book called Black Jesus, Bonhoeffer's Black Jesus, Harlem Renaissance Theology and an Ethic of Resistance. We'll talk about that as well in our remaining moments here on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has work source centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
One more question for Reggie L. Williams, and then I want to spend a few minutes talking about his text. Where is that question I was reaching for? I saw it a moment ago, and it was a good one. See if I can find it right quick. There it is. Was the 2024 election pushed back to DE&I and other Democratic issues? Was it just going too fast for white voters? I know this question is rooted in the conversation we had earlier about Billy Graham and Reinhold Niebuhr and others saying you're moving too fast, slow down. So this question is whether or not the 2024 election was really another example of them telling us to pump our brakes and we're just moving too fast.
No.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I don't agree that it was too fast. I agree that any and every time you have progress for Black people, for minoritized people in this country, you get a response, a retrenchment, like a dance, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. They're always trying to sustain that practice of hierarchy.
Yeah.
Always trying to sustain it. You go back in history since 1865. From 1865 to 1877, you had a Reconstruction. 1877 ended that with Tilden Hayes Compromise. 1877 up to 1964. I'm missing a few dates in between there, but 1964, the Voting Rights Act. Then you had the development of the Southern Strategy and Nixon. Then you get from Nixon to Obama. You get several movements in between there. Then after Obama, you get Trump. I mean, we're in this Trump moment here when people could say you're moving too fast. Since when? Since 1865.
I take your point. Yeah. If anything, not fast enough, right?
Not fast enough.
Yeah. The book is called Bonhoeffer's Black Jesus, Harlem Renaissance Theology and an Ethic of Resistance. We are in a moment of resistance. I've got 3 minutes left. Tell me about this text.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a pastor and theologian killed by the Nazis in 1945 for his involvement in an effort to undo or overthrow the government and set up a different government, one that was not Nazi, not war-making, not murdering. He was already in prison when an attempt to kill Hitler failed, July 20 plot. Tom Cruise made a movie out of that called Operation Valkyrie. But what makes him so unique is that he's a theologian and pastor who was known to have these pacifist tendencies. And people wonder why was he involved in an attempt against the Fuhrer? And then they also wonder how he got this idea, how he was able to see evil so clearly when he was 25 and the Nazis were just starting and they got such huge support amongst people in Germany. This 25-year-old is pointing them out as evil very, very early as 1931. How did he gain that insight? It's clear to me. He was, from time that he spent in the United States as a lay leader at a Black Baptist church during the Harlem Renaissance, when Black people were arguing about recalibrating this notion of humanity that white people are saying, you move too fast, you move too fast. Well, Black people in the Harlem Renaissance were saying, we got to recalibrate that. Well, he's a student of the Harlem Renaissance at Abyssinian Baptist Church, and he takes that liberation type Black social gospel insight back to Nazi Germany and becomes a Nazi resistor.
Yeah. What's that say to you about the ways in which if we had time, we could unpack this thing, the ways in which Black culture has influenced the world?
The world, man. The world over, man. Folks are watching us. We know we got so many resources for this very moment we are in right now.
Yeah.
We got a lot of resources.
Yeah.
For opposing it and also for just being within our communities and thriving.
Yeah, my friend Cornel West, who is the Dietrich Bonhoeffer professor at Union,
I know
right now.
Yeah,
Dr. West says
he uses that book.
He does. Yeah, Dr. West says all the time. He asks a powerful question: what can a blues nation learn from a blues people?
Amen.
What can a nation with the blues learn from a blues people? And to your point about Bonhoeffer taking the best of that Black tradition, that radical love tradition, back to Germany with him at such a young age is another powerful example of that. The book is called Bonhoeffer's Black Jesus, Harlem Renaissance Theology and an Ethic of Resistance. I have enjoyed immensely and learned a great deal in this hour, courtesy of Reggie L. Williams, Professor of Black Theology at St. Louis University. Delighted to have had you in studio. Thank you for this insightful conversation.
Thank you so much, dear brother.
My great honor to have you here. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Attorney General Pam Bondi told senators her department made major strides in 8 months, citing crime drops in D.C. and Memphis.
We created strong partnerships working hand in hand with both cities to send resources where they were needed most.
She's now facing tough questions on topics like the indictment of ex-FBI Director James Comey. A Black woman turned a used school bus into her full-time home after spending $35,000 on renovations. 26-year-old Los Angeles native Danielle Dandelion now travels the country, taking odd jobs and embracing life on the road, proving dreams are worth chasing. And a funeral was held in California for Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teen found dead in a car registered to singer David. Her cause of death is still pending. Police launched a death investigation, but David has not been named as a suspect. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Celebrating 100 years, Mount St. Mary's University LA is dedicated to moving your life and career